Hello everyone, this is Denise at All My Dolls, and this is my reintroduction to my doll channel. Since the videos that I made maybe the last year and a half or so, last 2 years, are still on my Fiber Arts channel. Don't know what to do about that, because as you can tell, I don't keep any copies of videos. So what I'm going to try to do is go through a lot of the videos that I had made this past year since I started the new channel and try to make them again. So let me give you a little history if you haven't seen the videos on the Fiber channel. So I've always been into historical crafts, uh, which is the whole point of the spinning yarn and all that kind of stuff. And I've mostly been into historical clothing. So a lot of the things that I knit are going to be historical patterns. And so I've been a big fan of some of the costumers like Bernadette Banner and a lot of the other ones. I could make a list for you, Lady Rebecca. And every once in a while, I get to make something that is for myself. But if you watch them carefully and you kind of see what they're doing, you find out that, first of all, historical costuming does take a lot of skill. So you kind of have to build up your skill level. The fabric is not exactly cheap. And so for me at the time, I didn't have a lot of disposable income. And I kind of wanted to find a way to dabble in there besides knitting, even though there's a lot of historical knitting to do. But I wanted to find something to dabble into besides knitting and besides making small accessories that I could afford to make. So it wasn't really till 2020. Well, actually, that's not quite true. I did in 2009 when I discovered American Girls for my classroom, and I started with Chris and the bullying. I did like toy with making some clothes for Felicity. I didn't wind up actually making them at that time, but I had somehow gotten a copy of her historical patterns, downloaded them from somewhere. And the reason why I didn't really continue with that is at that point I was not into dolls and was never really in the dolls. And for some reason I just thought like American Girl dolls were really expensive. I got the catalog to come to my house for a couple of years, but I never bought anything. Never really occurred to me to check on eBay and get used dolls, which is funny because I was a big time eBay shopper and I got all kind of other things off eBay. Just never really with dolls. And that's probably because I wasn't really into dolls. So fast forward to 2013, I cut out and made a part of Felicity's dress. Never actually finished it. Then fast forward to 2020, and I was already working from home, so it's not like during the pandemic I was suddenly at home and had a lot of time. I don't know. I just really, really decided that I really wanted to make historical clothing, and I was going to buy a half dress form and make it that way. Then it occurred to me, and you know what? Now I remember what it was. It was the Chanel. Was it Chanel? How come I can never remember that? Might have been Dior. But anyway, for the pandemic, they had these mini dress forms, and that's how they displayed their fashions, which is historically the way they were displayed on mini dress forms and dolls. And then somebody else came with a puppet show with the fashions. And I thought, oh, it'd be a great idea. Instead of a half dress form, why don't I get a larger doll? Barbie clothes was just too small for me. An American Girl doll had been too small for me. I had got one of those dolls from Michaels. I think they're called Springfield. And she was cute, and I dressed her up a couple different times. You can see like the videos and the pictures. But I really thought to myself, I really want an American Girl doll because they have historical significance. So I got my first one. It was Addie. I got a Be Forever Addie and decided I wanted a Prematel Addie. I don't know why. I was obsessed with getting the Pleasant Company doll. So that's what I did. And I got one, and I got the other, I got the other. And basically, the dolls have fulfilled my historical dress needs almost to the point where I haven't really made anything for myself, but I did take a wonderful class. So I'm just a little obsessed. And I went from historical costuming to modern costuming. So now I am making clothes for both sets of dolls. I had only planned to have historicals, now I get everybody. So this was my binder. It was one binder, and I collected historical fashions, and they are in the binder according to the earliest historical timeline and going on. And so this binder was overflowing. And what I would do would take the modern things and put them in the back of the binder. It got to be big much. So now this is my historical only binder. And this over here is my modern clothes binder. Okay, so I've crossed out of the world of just historical dolls to historical clothing and modern costuming. And so you can see I'm building up my modern patterns. So the whole point was to help me understand the construction of historical clothing. So I had to find clothing makers who were doing the best to shrink the historical patterns and get them in as much detail as possible for an 18-inch doll and that particular doll's shape. And there are some wonderful pattern makers out there like Pemberley Threads and I'm trying to think of Ann's. I can't remember. Hey, let me just look at the patterns. Let's see. Alrighty. This one is... this is one of the Pleasant Company patterns. This is the Molly by Thimbles and Acorns. Nope, the Molly is Pemberley Threads. I can't remember which one is my... There's a couple of them in here. That would be Thimbles and Acorns. This is the 18th century underwear set, and that is Thimbles and Acorns, as you can see. I've got some other ones in here. Anne Doran is who I'm thinking of, but they pop out. There are some really cool... This is the Bobby. Who is the Bobby by? Love from Lola. And I do try to do my best to mention... I forgot who the 70s patterns is. This is Kindred Thatts. Sometimes the patterns directly have their name on them. Sometimes I have to write them on the back just to be sure. I do wish everyone who did a pattern would put their name and design or copyright at least on one of the pieces of the pattern. That would help me keep track of them, but that's really cool. And then of course there's all kind of modern modern pattern designers. That's what I'm trying to say. So then I split my binder one more time to my work in progress binder. I picked this up at one of those teacher things that we go to every year where they donate stuff. And the thing I love about this is a legal pad sized binder. Sorry about the shadow, but this is a legal pad sized binder. And so I got a bunch of, I had some legal pad size sleeves and then a lot of these standard page sleeves. So what I pretty much did here was there are patterns cut out and fabrics cut out, and they're just waiting to be sewn. So this is how I'm going to, I batch projects. There's another box I have where I'm actively sewing the batched projects, and they're all in here. So usually things like occasional weekends, the teacher and service days, holidays, stuff like that, I'll batch a bunch of projects, and then throughout the week after I'm home from school, I'll spend a couple hours a day or an hour a day, whatever I have, sewing through this project binder. So that's pretty much how I do projects. So now on the table, I am working on the winter items. So last winter, I actually did sew the outfits for winter. I spent quite a bit of time sewing winter outfits and Christmas outfits. But we moved in November, and that was a lot of work. And then with the new switch on my job, well, the other school, that was a lot of work too. And I was just exhausted. I didn't really finish all of the outfits, and I started the videos and never made them. So this time around, I want to be more mindful about following through with the videos. I got to find some way to organize the videos. And this time too, I'll store them on my desktop, which has plenty of space, instead of deleting them, just to make sure. So I decided that to make this easy for me this year, I have a lot of dolls. And I need to do an All My Dolls video, which I was supposed to do All My Dolls wearing for spring, summer. Are at least 70 something dolls. Now, there are plenty of people who have collections a lot bigger than that. But for me to amass that amount of dolls in this short amount of time, it's just some of these dolls I got at thrift stores, I got on Goodwill, I got eBay. Um, they were very inexpensive. Some of them I really paid for. Now you know which ones I really paid for, and they just kind of kept coming, and I don't feel like I have like an addiction, like I gotta have the doll. But if I see a doll for $15 or another one at the thrift store, I'm just really not gonna pass it up. And I have passed on dolls to children at my school, so it's not like I'm just hoarding dolls. They just seem to come. It is what it is. At some point, I'm gonna run out of room, and I'm gonna have to do something like the Bitty Babies. I'm not really attached to them; they have to go. So I'll figure that out. So at any rate, I got 70 dolls, and I have to have outfits for all these dolls. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the historical dolls in Christmas outfits, and I actually already made them. So we're going to be good. And then I'm going to use half of the green outfits that I made last year. And the rest of the dolls are going to have like casual fall winter outfits. So we have a collection here of sweaters. And what I'm going to do is just pick them up and lay them down on the table so you can have a decent idea of what they look like. Some of them still have strings on them because I notoriously hate to weave in my edges. Now, of course, the weaving in the ends is a thing that must be done, and it will be done, but just not right now. The first two were acrylic. This one is cotton acrylic. Now, what one of my goals is as I spin yarn, I want to be able to use the sample skeins. And a lot of times I make mittens or something like that. This one's crocheted. But I have a ton of mittens. I don't need any more. I don't know anybody who needs any more. And so I think what I'm going to do is start using those sweaters or using those skeins for doll sweaters. Which is going to make them kind of hard to wash because they'll be actual real wool. But it'll be okay. Probably not something I would give to a young child. I would give them one as acrylic or cotton. And I really like how the cotton turned out. And a lot of people just donate yarn to me. Like they think because I knit and all that kind of stuff, I just want any kind of yarn. And I'm really a yarn snob. Like I like my hand spun all natural fiber yarn for myself. So this is also a great way for me to use up all of this extra yarn that gets gifted to me. So there are the sweaters. There are 16 of those. And I pretty much went to the dollar store. You know, they have that craft, whatever it's called, yarn, and the Just Yarn brand. The Crafters Square, I like better. It's softer acrylic. The other one is it's just a little thicker and a little heavier and a little scratchier in your hands. But I just got a couple different colors of those, and I'm going to just knit up a bunch of sweaters. I already have 2 on needles. Also, I decided to make just a couple of these sweaters. Let me grab one real quick. They look like this. Okay. It's pretty much how this is going to look. Oh, hang on. You can't see that. They look like this. Okay. And that's the sleeve. That's the, okay. So they'll look a lot like that. This one looks a little different because I cut this from one of my old sweaters. It was one of my favorite sweaters, but somehow it had a hole in it. And I was like, wow, I love this. And so I just cut into the ribbing in the right spots. Turned out to be a really cute sweater. So I'm going to make a bunch of those. And that is the cow neck sweater from Mulberry Street, which I use that pattern a lot. The other pattern I used a whole lot was the Cold Noses pattern. And I popped it up somewhere, but it makes really cute hoodies, which I did put zippers on. So you're going to see that one a lot. When it comes time to do the video on what my dolls are wearing, I'll pop that up. So basically, here I am with this really stretchy material that I got from Walmart so many years back. And I'm just going to lay my pattern down, trace this out with and I think I'll probably wind up making maybe 8 to 10 of these. And in general, these will either stand alone with scarves or vest, or they will fit under sweaters. That's pretty much my plan for the fall and winter. I'm going to go ahead and upload this video because if I don't, I will wait, and then by the time that the process is done, I would not have even uploaded the video. So I want to be more mindful about that. And this will just be a process in the works. I will try to get back, depending on how my schedule goes, maybe right after Halloween, and discuss where I'm at. I should have at least 3 or 4 more sweaters and several of these ready. Now, in between that time, if you would like to actually see me sew these, let me know. What's really cool about this fabric like this is I can just pull the edges and they will roll up on themselves. So I don't even have to hem the edges. So what I'm going to do is put this one together and then see how I feel. I might feel driven to hem the edges. I might not feel driven at all. Alrighty. Hey, if you wouldn't mind, I'm trying to build this channel up again. Just subscribe. And if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put those down there. I'm going to respond to them. Any suggestions with me starting a new channel? That would be great. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.